And now we're streaming. Hello there. I'm Dr. Nick Alenov. Thank you for being with me today for another daily health report. This is report number 6. Pardon me when I look down, I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm always double checking to make sure that I am live on my iPad over here, which is why I have this little thing in my ear. There we go. It does appear as though I'm alive, but I won't show it. Well, we'll just pretend I am. Hello. Today, we are going to be discussing better sleep. And that is going to be, there it is, an exciting thing for many of us. I'll get better at these intros, don't worry. And we're live. Better sleep requires many things, but what I would like to go over today is one of the most common reasons that average people who should otherwise be sleeping well are having trouble sleeping, especially this time of year. So midwinter, we just got through the holidays. What we've done is we've eaten heavier foods. We've probably eaten a little more sugar than we need to, or a little more carb loading than we needed to during the holidays. And carbohydrates in combination with sugars, processed sugars, as well as possibly, alcohol and other fattier processed foods, all these things together create a lot of stress on our gallbladder. So you're wondering, what does the gallbladder have to do with sleep? Actually, quite a bit. What it is that we've discovered over the past 20 to 30 years is that each one of our organs needs to be working properly in order for us to cycle through a proper Chinese acupuncture meridian cycle. I know, that's a lot to say. And what that means is that over thousands of years, actually, the Chinese health system, tradition that we call traditional Chinese medicine, discovered that we have these energy meridians that run through our body. We have 12 primary meridians, and then each one of these meridians is active for part of a day. And I just thought of something. I think I'll just pull one of these meridian clocks up on the screen to actually describe how this works. Give me 1 second here. So if you go to any search engine and you type in Meridian Clock, you are going to get many, all right, that should do. I'll show you here. You're going to get many examples of the traditional Chinese medicine meridian clock. Look at all these. Okay, so some of them are very colorful, some of them are very interesting. For our purposes, I'm just going to go with this very simple one right here, which looks great. And so what you'll notice on this meridian clock is that this is when you are in sync with your time and your place on Earth. So in other words, if you haven't traveled anywhere and you haven't created any jet lag on your system, which is what this is what causes jet lag, then your body's meridians are cycling according to when the sun goes up and comes down, according to this clock here. And so you'll notice the names of these meridians, there's 12 of them, are all named mostly after organs, except for the triple heater meridian. And then we have the heart governor meridian. And so these two, of course, are not named directly after organs, but you'll notice that every other meridian is named after an organ system. And so what happens is during this 2-hour period, so you'll notice right here, of course, that during this 2-hour period, where the energy is coming into the meridian and leaving the meridian, these are the times when we can have the most stress on our system. I'm actually going to double check this with some other clocks. Yes, there we go. And so what you'll notice on any of these clocks, which you look at, is that the gallbladder, which is what we're going to be discussing primarily today, the energy to the gallbladder comes in at 11 p.m. and then it leaves the gallbladder at 1 a.m. And then, of course, anyone knows anything about detoxification or physiology knows that the gallbladder is holding the bile that comes out of the liver. So the liver is actually a much larger organ in our body, does a lot of things. And the liver is processing toxins, moving it through the bile extracts and putting a lot of these toxins into the gallbladder. Then what happens is that we need to then move our bile extracts through the gallbladder into the digestive system. But for the sake of what we're about to show you and how this affects your sleep, just remember that the energy enters the gallbladder meridian, the energy system in the gallbladder at 11 and then leaves at 1. Where does it go from there? At 1 o'clock, it goes into the liver meridian, and then it leaves the liver at 3 a.m. And this is why, which I'll describe why this happens. This is why the most common times people wake up at night for unknown reasons. Now, if you're waking up because of noise, you're waking up because your baby's waking you up, you're waking up because you have to use the bathroom a lot, those are known reasons. So those can be at any time. But if people say, I don't sleep well, I just wake up at night, and I say, for what reason? I don't know. And then I ask people, and I've asked thousands of people this. I ask them, what time do you wake up? And oftentimes people know because they're waking up at the same time. And it is usually either right on the money, 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. Or most of us, are just getting to bed at 11. So obviously that one doesn't count. Or they're saying, I'm waking up within 10 to 15 minute time window, somewhere around that 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Window. And sometimes people who maybe get up really early, and so they go to bed really early, people that maybe go to bed before 9 o'clock, they might say, yep, I fall asleep just fine. And then I wake up at 11 p.m. And then I fall asleep, and then I wake up at 1 a.m. And then I fall asleep, and then I wake up at 3 a.m. But it doesn't have to be all 3 times in order for this to be a gallbladder issue. Now, the answer I'm going to give you, people say, why does it happen at those specific times? It's because when the energy is finally into the meridian, it tends to calm down, but it can create an energy surge during the crossover. So at 11, 1, and 3 during the crossover time, that is when you're most likely to have a surge of energy if and only if you're having trouble with that meridian. So if everything's running smoothly and that energy meridian is running smoothly, or if that organ system that the energy is going into is doing A-okay, then there's going to be no surge, and it's certainly not going to wake you up, because it is not normal to wake up every 2 hours when our meridians change over or cross over to the next meridian. However, this happens often. And so this is one reason why when people do traditional Chinese medicine uses acupuncture, and that can be needle acupuncture, it can be moxie, it can be laser stimulation now. But the whole purpose of any of those mechanisms of acupuncture is to help change or improve that flow of energy through those meridians. So traditional Chinese medicine, somebody goes to their Chinese medical physician, says, I'm waking up at 3 a.m. I don't know why. They're going to do a bunch of tests, say, oh, it's probably gallbladder meridian, do some acupuncture or something for that. Or the most other common thing that you're going to get in traditional Chinese medicine is herbs. And so that's why when you see, the documentaries of older Chinese medicine physicians in China and around the Orient, when they're going up to these huge walls full of different herbs and picking and choosing what they need, and then people boil those herbs down and drink them. And so that is how we started out with herbal medicine, was in traditional Chinese medicine. Now, there are many, many remedies to choose from. And again, my reports here are not about just telling you about 100 different ways to look at something, because it's not very helpful, in my opinion. I want to give people just very pinpoint information that I know is going to help. So you probably clicked on this video because the title, which is Improved Sleep, and what did I call this one? We called it, there we go. Yes, improve your sleep with proper gallbladder support. And so let's talk about what I have found works. Now, finding good Chinese herbs is very difficult. And oftentimes, most of the time, these herbs are just raw. In other words, they're ground up herbs and they're put into a capsule, or they're in a powder, and maybe they're an extract, which means they're just, the herbs are extracted with either water or alcohol. And the problem is that it's very, very difficult, especially in the modern world where our digestive systems have become very weak. And we've talked about that a bit already. But it is very difficult for us, especially in the modern world, to digest herbs. And so a lot of people take herbs and either A, find they don't help at all, or B, they take them and it upsets their stomach. And so I know there's a list of herbs that if I take raw, which I don't anymore because I have better products, but if I were to take certain herbs raw, it would either upset my digestive system. If I took these herbs too close to sleep, they would affect my sleep in a bad way. A sign that herbs are affecting your sleep poorly are vivid dreams or nightmares, or just having just really crazy dreams. Again, a sign that these herbs are not working well for you. Now, let's look at the product that I absolutely love for this issue. And again, I go to very specific products. There's actually very, very few products that I use anymore in practice. I can pretty much help everyone that I'm going to help with certain issues with any number of about 30 to 50 products. I don't have hundreds and hundreds of products that I use anymore, because over the last 20 years, I've realized which ones really work and which ones don't. So again, that is what I'm hoping to bring to you through my reports, is just what I've figured out over the last 20 years that actually works. And not just some of the time, but most of the time. I will not use a product or give it to someone anymore unless I know what that likely outcome is going to be. So what we're going to look at now is, first of all, I'm going to explain the company, how you, if you need to make an account, can create an account. Many of these products that I use, of course, are physician grade nutrients, most of them. And what that means is you might find them online, but that if you're just finding them online and you're not getting them through a physician, you run a high risk of actually getting a counterfeit product, or you have no idea how those products are getting to you, because that is not, it's not really a policy of the company in order to just ship them out to anybody. So what you're doing, if you want to order products from Premier Research Labs, which is the company we're about to discuss, is you want to open an account through a physician direct account. This way, you know that you're getting the product from the actual company. You're not getting a counterfeit product, which, believe it or not, is very common these days. And B, you know that you're getting a high quality new product. And so it hasn't been bought by people, shipped somewhere, sitting in their house for months or years, and then shipping to you. So when you order through a direct account, you are, of course, getting the actual product, and you're getting that product as new and as fresh as possible. Okay, so we're going to share the screen here. And what we have is, there we go. To open an account to order products direct from Premier Research Labs, there we go. You'll want to go to dralenov.com, or just simply alenov.com works. And you will, there we go. Pardon me for a second. I always try to make sure this is as visible as possible. There we go. So go to my site, scroll on down, and you're going to get to 3 or 4 down, nutrition and product store. So when you enter the store, it says below are the links to Dr. Alenov's most commonly recommended products and supplement manufacturers. And here we have 3 down, Premier Research Labs. So when you click on this, if you don't have an account, you're going to be on the screen which says open your account. And this is not a blank account. It is being connected to my physician account. So you will see that once you start the account. If you already have a Purell account, you can click on here and then go to log in and log into your account. So here we have a screen where this is what you will see once you have started an account and logged in. So Premier Research Labs, if you wander over here, the drop down shows products. You can get them by type, by recommendations, heart health, eye health, brain health. I'm not going to really get into, someday I'll do particular reports on companies. So I'll talk about why I love Premier Research Labs so much and use their products for over 15 years. But for now, I'm just going to say, here it is. Premier Research Labs. This is where you get our product, which we are reviewing for today. I like to just go search entire store, and I'm going to type in gallbladder. And when you do that, you're going to get a drop down, 4 products, maybe 3. And the product we're looking at today is called Gallbladder ND. And there's one other great product here for the gallbladder called Bilivin. This is a capsular product. So this is a capsule of herbs. But what I always start with is Gallbladder ND. And the reason for that, like I had just mentioned, is that herbs, which is what most Chinese medical remedies are, is they're herbal. Herbs are not easy to digest. And what we have here with Gallbladder ND, which I'm going to zoom, there we go, zoom way in. What you're going to notice is that Gallbladder ND is a liquid, and the ND indicates, they have several ND products at Premier Research Labs. And what that indicates is this is a probiotic fermented liquid extract. All right, I think it might stand for nano-derived. What they're talking about is the nanoparticles within the fermentation process, the live bacteria. When you ferment something, like when you ferment wine, you're adding yeast and the yeast is fermenting. And so this type of fermentation is not for alcoholic fermentation. This is fermentation for nutritional extraction. And whenever things ferment, especially herbs, what happens is that the ability to digest and absorb the nutrients goes way up. It makes it so much easier for your body to digest this sort of product compared to a capsular or straight herbal product. And the second thing that happens is that when it absorbs very quickly, but it also works much deeper in the system. It just seems to get deeper into the body, work on a cellular and an energetic level much better. And the reason why I mentioned working on an energetic level better is that this product, when you look at the supplement facts right here, and it's a top choice for sure, has been in my clinic for many years. You're going to look at the ingredients and say, oh, milk thistle and artichoke and Indonesian cinnamon and some turmeric. You're going to say, yeah, I beetroot. These are all things that I've maybe heard of or even used before, especially if you're into natural medicine. So these ingredients are not very overwhelming. You're just like, I've seen it before. But you have to realize that it's not just the base ingredients that we're getting this great result from. It has to do with the fact that the way this is energetically put together and the quality of the nutrients, and then lastly, that fermentation process is making this so much more energetic. It has not only a gentle cleansing effect on the liver and the gallbladder, and basically the biliary system. So the bile ducts are where the bile is created in the liver and then it moves into the gallbladder from there. And so these extracts are helping to improve and energize the liver, the flow of the bile, which, like I had mentioned earlier, is the major problem, is that this time of year, especially, the flow has been reduced because of lots of interesting things we have consumed. And I'm just going to point a few things out here so I can go back to full screen. Gallbladder ND, it's a liquid. It's 8 fluid ounces for 1 bottle. Comes in a glass bottle. And it says here, suggested use, take ½ teaspoon mixed in water or juice 2 times daily, or as directed by your health professional. Okay, and shake gently before use. And I'm actually going to change that to shake vigorously, and I'll explain why in a second. But so that is the product in a nutshell, and it is very useful. Now, of course, there's many reasons why somebody might want to use this. And so this is not a report on gallbladder gallbladder health, all that would take hours, and we'll get back to the gallbladder eventually. But I really wanted to focus again on the gallbladder and sleep. And so if there's many different products that I might use if I'm having major gallbladder issues with a patient. And by that, I mean, gallbladder symptoms tend to be nausea after eating, bloating, gas, especially when eating fatty foods. As a person's gallbladder becomes more and more ill, and we lose that ability to move the bile in a healthy way out of the gallbladder while you're digesting, well, that reduces, then basically the fats in your diet do not digest well. And this is why when people have their gallbladder removed, the doctor is going to tell them, you're basically going to be on a low-fat diet the rest of your life, which is not actually true. We'll have to get to another report. I'm writing multiple reports in my head here, but we'll have to get into another report specifically for those who've had their gallbladder removed, because there's many things you can do to get back to consuming healthy fats, because that is very, very important for our health, consuming healthy fats. But there's many things that can occur with digestion with the gallbladder. Headaches. So gallbladder headaches are the ones that come up the back of the head and then they wrap around the ears. And when you look at the gallbladder meridian on a map, you'll notice it comes up, round through the shoulder, up the back of the neck, and then around the ears. And that's the gallbladder meridian, the path of it. And so gallbladder headaches are either like this on each side, or they can just be across the whole top of the head. And in particular, gallbladder headaches also tend to go around the eyes and behind the eyes. So headaches are very common with gallbladder issues. Digestive problems are very common, nausea, even vomiting. And so if a person is still not sure what a healthy diet means, and they're having all this nausea and they're eating fatty foods and then vomiting right away or later, that is a severe sign of gallbladder issues. But what we're talking about today is a very common thing, which is when there's even minor gallbladder stress, you can end up with 1 night a week, 2 nights a week, 7 nights a week, for a time period where you're waking up on that time clock. Okay. And so about 80 to 90% of people with this issue, again, are going to wake up at 11, 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. About another 10 to 20% may not wake up on that time clock. But again, if you ask yourself, am I waking up often at night for no known reason, right, and that you're aware of, and you just wake up, sometimes it's wake up and fall right back to sleep. Sometimes it's wake up and with kind of like a charged feeling, like a sudden surge of energy, and then you literally can't fall back asleep for 5, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes even an hour. Okay, that's another sign of this. And so other people will wake up and then have very restless sleep for maybe half hour or an hour before they can get back into that deep sleep. So again, these are all signs of gallbladder related sleep problems. And Gallbladder ND is the #1 product of anything I've ever used to help alleviate this. And so the nice thing about this product, so I want to go through the pros and cons and what you can expect if you're trying this. So the pros are that it is a very gentle product. And like I said, it's very easy to digest because the ND process breaks it down and ferments it. So it's a liquid, easy to digest, easy to take. Also a side note, it does not taste bad at all. It has a very herbally flavor, and there's cinnamon in it, so you can taste the cinnamon. It is not sweetened, but it does not taste bad. And I'm honest about that. When something tastes bad, I'll tell you that it tastes bad. You still want to take it. You still want to take it even if it tastes bad, but I'll let you know. And so this process of wanting to open up the energy flow, right, so that we can sleep through those energy changes, we want to do that with something very gentle. And so Gallbladder ND is not something that you take and you experience all these massive digestive cleansing, issues. It's a very gentle product. Now, people on the extreme end, so the con, or the thing to remember if you're having extreme gallbladder issues, right, is that one, you're going to want to find yourself a good physician to help walk you through this, because anybody with extreme toxicity who's waited too long and is experiencing massive issues with bile flow, gallbladder stress, gallbladder attacks. If you're having, like I said, vomiting after you eat fatty foods, this is a sign that you probably have fatty liver disease, and you're also dealing with some massive digestive stresses and gallbladder dysfunction. So these things need to be taken care of if you've reached that level. But if you're doing A-OK and now you're just saying, you know, I wonder if this is why I haven't been sleeping as well, then this is an easy product to use and to try this. So I'm going to put this up. So there's very few cons unless, like I said, you're on that edge. And one of the ways you might notice, if you do try this product and after you've taken it for a couple of days or even a day, if you're noticing one of two things, either one, if you start noticing a biley taste in your digestive system, right, or in your throat, and you're not used to that, if it's like a biley acid taste, what that means is that the gallbladder ND is doing its job. It's opening up that natural flow of bile. And if your bile hasn't been flowing well, it might flow out a bit on the hard side, a lot quicker, because the body wants to push out that old bile. So that can cause some heartburn-like feelings or biley acid taste. If you notice that, then the best thing to do, of course, is to cut down, maybe contact a natural health care physician, ask them what that might be causing. And then secondly, if you want to just work through that naturally yourself, activated charcoal is the answer, right? Because that really helps to just suck up those toxins and get it out of the body very quick. Okay. So again, very few cons and very, very small percentage of people that are going to experience these things. But of course, I do want to discuss it so that for those of you that do experience this, you're not shocked and you know what to do about it. So like I said, one thing you might notice is some biley taste or acid taste after eating or any time of day when you're using the gallbladder ND. The second thing is going to be if your bile ducts were turned into sludge. Okay, basically that's what happens. And so this bile is supposed to be thin. It's supposed to flow like a thin fluid, like water. If it turns into sludge, the gallbladder ND is slowly going to break that down. And then the bile is going to go from sludge, which doesn't move, to liquid. But what happens is the bile becomes much more concentrated. So as that leaves the bile duct, it goes into the duodenum, the upper part of your digestive system, and it flows down. It has to travel out through your whole digestive tract, right? So 30 feet of small intestine and then 5 feet of colon. And what happens is that can cause some trouble. When that bile is overly concentrated or overly toxic, you can end up with digestive trouble, which you might not have had before. So again, this is just a sign that something is working. And of course, that's another reason why you might want to work with a natural health care physician on that, is because if you're having those sorts of troubles, it can be very hard to just sort of figure out what's good, what's bad, and what's happening. But there it is, the pros and cons. Now, the pros are incredible. So easily 2/3 of people that try this for their sleep notice almost immediate improvement. And let me jump this up here. There we go. Port 6 and share screen again. And what I have is just a quick breakdown of the highlights. So let's zoom this way up. So a quick review again, the product is Gallbladder ND, made by Premier Research Labs. If you don't have an account, you can go to dralenov.com and click on the store and start an account at Premier Research Labs. And that allows you to order anything, retail and direct, from Premier Research Labs, and you're getting the right stuff. And how to use it to improve your sleep. So the way you use it is quite simple. As you saw on the back of the bottle earlier, it says you want to take ½ teaspoon twice a day. So you're going to take a specific amount, whichever amount you choose. Morning and evening is what I prefer. So before breakfast is great. After breakfast is fine as well. And then you're going to take the second dose. This is the most important part. You want to take it before bedtime, right? Because that's when you want that energy to start moving. And so I say bedtime means, you know, any time within an hour to hour and a half of when you suspect you're going to go to bed. And you can certainly, like I said, take it 30 seconds before you lay down as well. And so Here's where I differ in their recommendations, which is shake bottle very well. And this is why. Gallbladder ND tends to settle out. So the particles are so small because they've been fermented that you get these herbal particles. If the bottle's been sitting for a couple weeks and the sludge in there is going to settle out at the bottom of the jar. So if you tip the jar upside down and you look through the glass and you see a bunch of looks like brown sludge stuck to the bottom of the glass, that's what you want to shake up. And so you got to shake that vigorously until there's nothing on the bottom of the glass. And it sometimes I've shaken a bottle before for like a minute and a half before it releases. So just be aware of that, shake it well, check the bottom of the glass, make sure there's nothing settled on the bottom. And sometimes I've even taken like a thin knife or fork, like a chopstick, and put it in the glass and actually stirred on the bottom, and that can help break it up as well. All right. So you're going to take the recommended dose I would start with, which they say is a half teaspoon, and then you put that in a couple ounces of water and you drink it. As simple as that. Now, then what you want to do from there is after a couple of days, if you're not getting any result, you can increase the dose by a half teaspoon. Okay. And you just keep increasing that dose every couple of days until you get the desired effect, which is sleeping through the night, waking up without nausea, waking up without gallbladder headaches. Another thing people notice is they're more hungry in the morning. So if you wake up and you're always kind of a little off and you're just like, oh, I can hardly look at food, I don't want to eat breakfast, that is also another sign that your gallbladder is not functioning correctly, because you're not waking up regenerated and ready to consume food and get nutrients in to get started with your day. And that's how you should feel if your gallbladder is working in tip-top condition. So every couple of days, you just increase that dose. So if you're not feeling anything, you up it to 1 teaspoon, then 1.5 teaspoons, then 2 teaspoons. I have had many people that have to get up to 1 tablespoon twice a day. So 1 tablespoon is 3 teaspoons, so 6 times the normal dose. And again, these are herbal products. It absolutely is not going to cause any problem if that's what you need. But no need to start that high. You can go ahead and just start with the half teaspoon twice a day. Next, signs of gallbladder-induced sleep issues. Again, this is just a review. So waking in the morning with a headache around the sides of the head or behind the eyes, waking at night with no reason, right? And then especially waking at the same time each night without reason, especially at 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. So there we go, signs of gallbladder-induced sleep issues. And I hope this helps many of you out there, because this is such a common issue. This is maybe possibly one of the most common things I see. It might not always be the reason why people come to see me. Oftentimes they're coming to see me for a lot more severe issues, but of course we do a big review, and one of the biggest parts of what I review with people's daily health is how they're sleeping. And so many people, for a lot of reasons, aren't sleeping well. So we go into it, and sure enough, I would say 50 to 80% of my patients that come to me are experiencing some type of gallbladder related sleep issues. So it's just a very common thing in America. And in other countries where we eat a lot of processed foods. And it's not something that has to bother us. Again, just some regular use of a very high quality herbal product, usually Chinese herbal related product, which helps to move that energy and also gently clean out the liver and the bile ducts and the gallbladder. So a lot of other stuff there to unload, a lot of other topics we could get into about gallbladder and liver function. I could probably give you a 4-hour lecture on that, which I will not do right now. I will, however, thank you for listening. This is Dr. Nick Alenov, Daily Health Report number 6, moving right along with those. And I hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Thanks again.